this is really an opportunity for folks to take 5 modules and to learn on those 5 modules, but then have their own host of classroom materials and activities to use right in the classroom at no charge. I'm going to explain to you how you get to do that. So this is called our Invest in Your Health Trainer Exchange information. I didn't do a good job of explaining about AgriSafe, sorry about that, but if you're new to AgriSafe, we are a national nonprofit, and our job is to protect the people who feed the world. So in addition to the youth programming materials that we have for youth, which I'm going to talk about today, we do have a host of other trainings and initiatives. I hope you'll check that out. We feel that it's important that farmers and ranchers can continue to farm safely without the health disparities that they're facing. So we need your help to make that happen. So let's get right back to the Invest in Your Health training program. This is what we call a Train the Trainer series. So if you work with youth ages 14 to 23 years of age, you'll have 5 modules that can be available to you that you can use in the classroom on health topics. These specific trainings are what we call under an open share platform. So once you take that Train the Trainer course on your own time, you're free to use the training materials. We want to make it easy for you to pull these classroom materials together. The series of modules will walk you through 5 target areas, and so these modules include hazard mapping, heat stress, hearing loss, just to name a few. Now I'm going to go ahead and just skip to our future slides here, just so you get an idea why we designed these training materials. And what we found, and AgriSafe spent quite a bit of time at FFA and other events, is we found that FFA advisors were coming to us and saying, you know, I want to teach health and safety to my students, but I don't have anything focused on agriculture. What do you have? And they were kind of pulling different resources that AgriSafe had together. And we recognized several years ago that it was important for us to develop classroom materials. We did a pretty significant revamp of these materials because we wanted to make it easy for others to train on these topics, not just AgriSafe specialists. So we really designed them to be user-friendly for folks to use once they went through that training. So again, the 5 topics, I know we just went through them briefly before, are a hearing module, which is called Say What, Protecting Your Hearing. And I'm going to show you some examples of some of the resources related to that. Another module called Cover Up, Head to Toe PPE. Another module called Stay Cool, Prevention of Heat-Related Illness. Another one, Zoonosis in its Stop Zoonosis in its Tracks, Prevention of Zoonosis. And then the last one, Where You At, using mapping to define hazards in agriculture. So I'm here in Louisiana with some staff, and we kind of use that yat sound a little bit in the work we do, so we thought that was a little catchy. So I'm going to feature all 5 modules real quickly, and I'm going to then show you where you can find them on our website. And again, this is all free. There's no cost to you. It is funded through CHS. If you have any problems in terms of navigating this on your own afterwards, feel free to reach out to us. So the first module I just want to showcase to you, and what I'm excited about is that we look for experts in the field to deliver this instruction. So the person that's instructing this one, the Train the Trainer, which is the piece that trainers would learn, is done by Dr. McCollum, and she's an expert in the field of hearing loss, and specifically as it relates to farmers. So we're really excited to have her on board. So she helped us develop this curriculum, and its real focus is to reduce that noise-induced hearing loss, which we know, unfortunately, farmers and ranchers have a really high rate of hearing loss. We're guessing around, not guessing, but the stats show around 40%, even around the age of the middle 30s. So hearing loss happens quite early in agriculture, and we believe there's ways to prevent that. So this is the guidebook that you would get after you do the Train the Trainer. The objectives of the training are listed here, such as describe basic anatomy, physiology, identify harmful exposures, identify prevention strategies, and describe appropriate PPE. Now, in all of these 5 modules that I'm going to showcase to you, we work really hard to make sure that we have classroom activities, because we know the reality of the situation is that if you're teaching 17 to 18-year-olds, or for perhaps a college class of ag students, you don't have a lot of time, and you don't want to spend the whole time, like an hour, talking about instruction. You're going to get them involved, get them active, and we're going to show you how we did that with these modules. An example of that was our AgriSafe Decibel Hunt. So we thought, you know, we've got the smartphones, we've got the technology, but we also have the ability to have the students download that app, that decibel reading app, so that they can go ahead and actually take their own decibel reading. So we came up with what we call the AgriSafe Decibel Hunt. So this is a great example of an activity that we designed This form is downloadable that a teacher can assign and say, okay, homework assignment, you've got to get 3 out of these 8 potential noise sources. Go ahead and get a decibel reading and bring it back to class. So we want to make it easy. You can see some of these readings are not necessarily ag specific because sometimes you may be in a classroom and not everybody has access to a farm. But all the work we do at the end of the day has that heavy focus on agriculture because we know that this is an area that is in great need of health promotion. Another really exciting program that we have, which is one of the 5 modules, is what we call Cover Up, head to toe PPE. And we know with agriculture being ranked one of the most dangerous occupation, that there's lots of ways to prevent injury and illness, and PPE is one way to do that. And AgriSafe invests a lot of time in promotion of the right PPE. We call that personal protective equipment. So this is, again, it's a 1-hour train the trainer. So if you're an instructor, you're going to take an hour, do the train the trainer online, web-based, and then you're going to have, then at the end, you're going to have access to your own classroom recording. So each of these 5 modules come with a classroom recording that you can play if you don't want to teach the topic yourself, and they come with activities. So for this one, for the personal protective equipment, our occupational health nurse and clinical director, Charlotte Halverson, is the lead instructor. So for the trainer component, to learn to be the instructor, you're gonna listen to her talk for an hour about the training and learn about PPE. And we know with these trainings that we have folks coming in at different levels. So we're really talking about a lot of basic information about personal protective equipment. And then with that, we designed these activities, and all of these sheets you see here are all printable. They're all printable, and there's versions that don't have the heavy color because we know a lot of times in the classroom or in the school, they don't want you printing all this color. So we've made it possible so that these can be printed out. And this is basically a circling game where they would look at the picture and they would decide after some discussion in class, well, what is the right PPE for the job? What do we need to be using? Should we have the shoes with traction, or should we have the tennis shoes? Should we have a 2-strap mask or a 1-strap mask? And certainly we never want to promote the 1-strap mask, so we want to make sure they're circulating the 2-strap mask. So these are, again, activities that we hope can be used in the classroom. They're meant to be downloadable. A third module that we have that we're excited about is called Stay Cool, Prevention of Heat-Related Illness. And this we know is a serious problem throughout the nation. Unfortunately, we have deaths every year that happen as a result of heat illness. And certainly you hear in the news also about young adults who are active in sports. And so we feel like this module is really applicable to folks of all ages, whether you work in an ag background or not. And so this really walks you through the basics about heat-related illness, the various types. What are those warning signs of life-threatening exposure? Because zoonotic disease isn't dangerous. Again, this is for someone to instruct that doesn't have any prior knowledge in heat-related illness, and it's intended for them to feel comfortable in the instruction. So once again, once they finish that train the trainer themselves, they then have access to the classroom recording that they can play, as well as the activities that go with that. And with that particular one, we have quite a few case studies. So we're giving examples of folks that were exposed to excessive heat and how they might have reacted and what the emergency care procedure was. I'm going to also make sure before I end the session that I spend a few minutes just showing you where to find all this on our website, so you don't have to go hunting for it. Okay, so the fourth module that I want to share with you is our Train the Trainer Prevention of Zoonotic Diseases. We call this Stop Zoonosis in Its Tracks. And hopefully you get the little catchy term there about in its tracks. But zoonosis is really kind of complicated to figure out, but yet we know it's so important, right? Because such a high percentage of diseases are zoonotic in nature. And again, this is one that can be done in a classroom whether you work in ag or not, because zoonotic diseases isn't just a problem in the ag sector, right? So we feel this is a really good overview of defining zoonotic diseases and the modes of transmission, how to educate them and use educational resources such as the bingo game. I'll explain that. What are the warning signs of major zoonotic diseases, and how can it affect ag populations specifically? And with this particular training, we made a point of making sure to get a health professional that's specialized in veterinary medicine. They are actually working on their veterinary degree. So we made sure to bring in the experts, and this one had quite a bit of technical expertise review even after the fact, because we know it can be complicated to understand zoonotic diseases. So again, this is all a free module available to you once you complete the Train the Trainer. What we're excited about this is this comes with a really fun bingo game that is the first of what we know. We don't know if anybody's ever done this before, but basically we've got 9 unique cards, bingo cards, and we have the actual questions for the cards, and they have a little cheat logo in the corner, so you can kind of, if you can't quite remember which is the right answer. And this is intended to get the students thinking together as a team about, okay, which is the host of the animal, which animal is involved with certain zoonotic diseases. And you can see in the middle that the center one has hand washing as a preventive tip. So that's one of the questions there. So we worked really hard to make this bingo game difficult, but also engaging. And again, this is all downloadable, no cost to you to print once you complete the trainer exchange online option. Okay, so I think I'm at the 5th module now, and this is called hazard mapping. And this is actually, hazard mapping is actually used in other industries quite commonly, like in construction, to get folks at different levels, or even in like factories, to get folks at different levels to come together. And when I say different levels, like some folks on the assembly line or some are supervisors, but get folks together to look at risk areas within an industry setting. Well, we've applied it to agriculture. We said, well, you know what? Agriculture has many different points of hazards. And if you can get folks to take some time to sit around and say, okay, what is it about the barn that might be a hazard, or that machine shed, and actually map it out, then you're engaging people in participatory learning. So this is very hands-on. This particular training, which we suggest around an hour and a half, is all skill-based, and there's not a formal presentation. So you could do a little formal presentation on what is hazard mapping and identifying hazards and risks, but this is really kind of getting right down to the paper and pencil and identifying hazards. And so our Train the Trainer session will teach you how to do hazard mapping exercises in the classroom and how to apply that to agriculture. So I will go ahead and just explain to you. Here's a good picture. We did this at an FFA event here in Louisiana, where we had circular tables work really well for this, and I had big paper and markers, and had the students work through identifying different building sites that they thought might present hazards. And we gave them the flexibility of determining as a group, were they going to examine the whole farm or just like one building, and go from there. And then of course report out to the group. So you can see it's really hands-on. We're excited about this. We hope folks will be as well and use this material. This is just stickers that come with the program, so you can print them out. They're designed for AREAD stickers, so these are stickers that can go on the actual drawings themselves. And again, we made this so it was available for your classroom use. So I went through 5 modules. So once all 5 modules are completed, you can get, as an instructor, you'll earn what we call Invest in Your Health Scholar Certificate. Now, you don't have to go through all 5 modules, because that would take you about 5 hours, because they're about an hour each, and we do have the online opportunity to do this online. But let's say you just wanted to do a couple and then download the materials for the classroom, you can do that as well. If you want to do all 5, then you can get certified as an Invest in Your Health Instructor Scholar. So we encourage you to do that. Using our Learning Lab, you're going to have the ability to then have, again, the classroom materials. I mentioned that several times. And what you're going to see is that you're going to have the ability to go back, and since you've created that profile in the Learning Lab, you can go back to that and pull down the webinar recording. I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. So as I said, here are the steps. You're going to create a profile. All of you who are on the session today created a profile in our Learning Lab, because that's how you're able to join. You're going to register for the course, which is free. You're going to take the pre and post tests that shows us that you understood the material. You'll get a certificate, and you can download an instruction book. You can also, when you do that, you'll be able to download the webinar recording that you can use for your classroom. So let me go ahead and just jump briefly here to our website, because I want to make sure that everybody knows what they're looking for. All righty. Sorry about that. I should have had this open beforehand. I will look and see if there's any questions coming in as I'm pulling that up. All right. Where's my password's not correct? All right. If any of you are like me, you're like hoping that you remember the password each day, right? So you're going to go to your learning lab. Let me go ahead and get this screen straight so I'm sharing the right screen with y'all. All right. Looks like I'm not sharing the right screen. Okay, we're on target now. So we're in the learning lab, and what you're going to do if you're interested in this program, you're going to go and you're going to let's scroll down here so you can see. You can go under our courses, you'll find it there. You can also look under the search for Invest in Your Health. So here it is here. It's all the way to the left. You can click on that for more information if you just want to check it out before you register. And you can see that all 5 modules are explained here. And then on the next tab are all the speakers. So as I mentioned, we have been various speakers on these topics. So Nisha was the one that did the heat stress. I was the one that designed the hazard mapping. Dr. McCollum did the hearing, as I mentioned before. And then Linda worked closely with Caitlin with the zoonotic piece, and Charlotte Halverson handled our cover-up PPE one. So you can see we've got all these instructors, and Dan has helped us overall with the different content. So if you look at the content section, you'll see how it's broken down, and I'm just kind of expanding them. So each one allows you, you can jump around. So if you don't want to do the hazard mapping, you want to do a different one, you just click on that, but you will go ahead and view it. You'd register to view it, okay? And then once you're done doing the train the trainer, I'm already logged in, so I'm gonna put that in. Once you're done with the train the trainer, then the system's gonna know that, and it's gonna give you the option of actually downloading the MP4 file, which is your webinar file that you can play in the classroom, okay? So let's say I finished the hazard mapping. I'm going to mark myself as complete. I can do that because I'm an admin. But you would have to sit through the whole train the trainer, hazard mapping. And then you can see there's an instructor guide. I'm going to just say, mark that as complete. Let's say I did that. And then now it's going to be open to download. Okay, so this is all meant for you to view. Now the hazard mapping actually doesn't have a classroom piece because, as I said earlier, hazard mapping is about getting them around the table and working on mapping. There's not a formal webinar, but the hearing one has that formal classroom recording. You can see it there. It might be hard to read, so I'm going to kind of show you that real quick here. So let's say technically I sat through the train the trainer, which is the say what on the hearing. I took my test and passed my little test of 10 questions. I was able to get my instructor guide, which has all of those resources that I talked to you about or that I showed you. So, you know, that Decibel Hunt, that's in the guide. Anything that we think you want to use in the classroom, it's there in that guide to download. And then at the very end, I want that recording for my classroom. Maybe I'm not comfortable talking about hearing loss, so I can download that recording and play it when it's good for me. So really, when you look at the setup of this, we designed this so that you have all the pieces available to you once you complete that initial train the trainer, and you don't have to do all 5. So that is the overview of our system. And now I'm going to jump back to my PowerPoint and just double check and make sure I don't have any questions. All right, I don't see questions here. And then I'm almost done, but I just want to kind of put a shout out for a really unique opportunity that we have. And that is our partnerships are really important to AgriSafe. And you can see from the work we've done, if you've been following us, that we really rely on being a national organization. We rely on universities, land-grant institutions, extension and such, to help us spread our mission. And so we're always looking for opportunities where we can bring these trainings on site, where we can go to a classroom of, let's say 10 or more ag educators and actually do this train the trainer with them in person. So this is an example, this flyer is an example of a train the trainer that we did in Pennsylvania. Actually, it's happening today. So you can see, excuse me, Nisha Rose Davison is there now. And so she's doing on-site training of all of these modules. And so with this on-site training, she's actually bringing the classroom materials with her. So everybody participating in this is going to walk away with their own set of zoonosis bingo game. They're going to walk away with their own set of guidebooks for the modules that she's reviewing. So this is a really great way to get information in a quick format in the hands of educators. So if you're interested in hosting a trainer exchange, feel free to reach out to me. My email is nroy@agrisafe.org. I don't know if Ansley's still on the session. She's attending with me. Maybe she can type that in the chat box. But this is an opportunity for you. There's no cost to groups to do this. We would just have to schedule it in advance with you and just make sure that we had a minimum number there of 10 so that we could absorb that cost associated with travel and such. So we would not expect a cost on your end. So again, please reach out to me if you're interested in actually hosting an on-site trainer exchange. I'm going to type that in my email in here. And my name, just in case you didn't catch it earlier. All right.